New tonight at 5, a teenager accused of killing his 13-year-old classmate is waiving his right to a speedy trial. Aiden Fucci, 14 years old, is accused of stabbing neighbor Tristyn Bailey to death in May. He is being charged as an adult with first-degree murder. He has pleaded not guilty. Speedy trial rules say prosecutors must try a criminal case within 175 days unless the defendant chooses to waive that right. Fucci's attorneys also asked for a continuance, effectively canceling their scheduled court date on July 28th. And this man